Bob is not like me. No, he's a good man.
You have a sign outside, no soliciting, don't you? Because he's like you. Yeah.
You ready? Okay, yeah.
I'll call this meeting with Share County Board of Adjustments to order. This meeting will begin with a public hearing. Anyone other than the applicant or representative wishing to speak must register and submit the registration slip to myself or the secretary. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct its monthly meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave. The applicant and the town board will be contacted about tonight's decision. Any other person wishing to receive a copy of any decision can sign the sheet at the front of the room. Those wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the county zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedure we will follow for hearing each application is, after the application is read, the applicant, their agent, or representative will have a maximum of 10 minutes to present their application, followed by any questions or comments from the board. Then all correspondence will be read. Then others in favor will have a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. Anyone objecting will then have a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. I will then ask for staff comments. Finally, the applicant will be allowed a rebuttal of 5 minutes if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone at the front of the room, state their name, and direct their comments to the board. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located. Tonight's hearing will be videotaped, and the tapes will become part of the record. Comments that are based on rumors, hearsay, or secondhand information, as well as racial or other prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The board has looked at all the properties, and the record will reflect these observations. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this board has 30 days from the filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeals shall be heard by the Waushara County Circuit Court. Information is available from the county zoning office. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. I'll introduce the rest of the board. To my left are Fred Gellerup, Wally Peterson, George Wilson, Jim Warwick. My name is Roger Wagner. To my right is Mark Schumacher, zoning administrator. First variance to be considered tonight, Gary M. and Carol K. Christian. Well, you need to announce that the second application, the Richard Thiel, has requested that his variance for application be tabled to the November hearing. That would be the second one. If anyone is here from that, well, it will be heard next month. First variance to be considered then, Gary M. and Carol K. Christian, New London, Wisconsin, had made an application for a variance after the fact in accordance with sections 58-542, paragraph C, paragraph 4, and 58-903, paragraph N, paragraph 3, and paragraph A of the Waushara County Zoning Code to construct a 15 by 27 foot patio coming to within 7 feet of the ordinary high water mark of Lake Poygan and land disturbance within 35 feet of the ordinary high water mark of Lake Poygan outside the view corridor in the RS-20 single family residential zone within the shoreland neighborhood. Location, part of Government Lot 1, being part of the northeast 1/4, the southeast 1/4, subject to right-of-way, Section 36, Town of Bloomfield, Lake Poygan, W131, County Road H. Is the applicant present? Yes. Would you come forward, please? Just state your name for the record, please.
Gary Christian.
Okay, Gary. Anything further to add at this time?
Not really, just that I wasn't aware of the variance for building the patio deck, otherwise I would have did it right away.
Okay. Just some general questions then for the record. Has there been a recent survey of that lot?
Not that I can recall recently.
Do you know where the flag or the stakes are?
They're buried somewhere by the road. I tried to find them, but I couldn't.
Okay. You had it pointed out to you where the ordinary high water mark was then by the zoning office?
I was, yeah, in the letter it was, yes.
Okay. Do you plan any other improvements out there at this time?
None at all. That's pretty much it.
Okay. And you're on municipal sewer there, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. When did you purchase the property?
Oh boy, I can't remember. I can't remember that far back when we bought it. Was it about 12 years ago for my grandma.
Okay. And when did you build the patio that's there now?
About 6 years ago.
And how old is the house?
That'd be about 7, 8.
Did you remove any vegetation or grass or anything along the shoreline when you built this?
No, there wasn't much there. There's really nothing there besides rocks and dirt. Well, our original patio was there. That was there before we built.
Okay.
That was on the cottage already.
Did you install the riprap that's out there? It looked like fairly new stone.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you have a permit from the DNR for that?
Yes, I did.
What hardship or what's unique to this property that would support the patio that you did put in?
Well, we do get a lot of people that come up. We do need a place to sit. Without it, you really got no place to sit besides a rock pile in front of you, you know. I mean, besides the cottage. Yeah, it's all that. It's very small property too. There ain't much room there.
Okay. Any other committee questions? Okay. I guess you can have a seat then. Correspondence?
We have an email we received from the Department of Natural Resources today. It says the department does have a file for Gary Christensen on his riprap project that we will need to follow up on this fall. I do have a copy of the Christian file. I will be unable to attend tonight's hearing, but I am sure the board will make the correct decision. I do not see an unnecessary hardship. Most of the patio is impervious and sending sediment-laden water back into the lake. This is contrary to the public interest in protecting our water resources. And that email is from Sean Eish, Water Management Specialist with the Department of Natural Resources. And that's all the correspondence we have. We have no one registered to speak in favor or in opposition.
Staff comments?
For the record, the board has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the other pertinent data for this application. The applicant, not the board, has the responsibility to show that the code is unnecessarily burdensome, there's unique physical features or property limitations, and that an approval will not harm the public or the neighbors. As was mentioned, this is an after-the-fact variance. The variance for the reconstruction of the home was in May of 2002. The site plan at the time did not show a deck, patio, or retaining wall. A portion of the home is within the right-of-way. There is an agreement between the applicant and the Waushara County Highway Department to allow the reconstruction of the small cottage within the right-of-way. Reasonable use was granted by the previous variance. Obviously, the current construction is not in compliance with the site plan at that time, which did not show a variance. Also, for the record, although a patio has to meet the required water setbacks, we do allow a small landing up to 40 square feet that can be directly in front of the patio doors. So we do allow like a 5x8 landing in front of the patio doors. And then also we do allow a walkway up to 5 feet wide that can access the steps to the water. Those type of things are allowed as access and do not have to meet the required water setbacks. But this patio is larger than that, and therefore it does have to meet the required water setbacks. The board, when they visited the property, noted, as I said, the deck does not meet the setbacks. The boathouse is conforming with the water setback, but is not conforming with the side yard setback. And that would be about it. I think everything else has been considered.
The applicant have anything in rebuttal? Come on forward. We have those.
Oh, you do? This is what this was his grandma's cottage, and there was a patio there. I thought you guys said there wasn't one there.
Why don't you state your name for the record?
My name is Carol Christian.
Okay. Yeah, we have that in our packet.
Oh, okay, because I thought
Was
you
there any trees that you removed?
There was a tree that got cut down because it was way back when. I think that was back when we built. There was an original tree that was dead, and it was kind of falling on the house. That one originally got moved. Would be right there. But that was 10 years ago, back when the house was built.
Okay. Thank you. That closes the public hearing for the Board of Adjustments. We will adjourn to the room directly behind us. Mr. and Mrs. Christian can come in there, and we will vote on the applications that were presented at the public hearing. Planning and Zoning will meet here now for their public hearing.
I will call this meeting of the Waushara County Planning and Zoning Committee to order. This meeting will be conducted in the same manner as the applications heard by the Board of Adjustments. Anyone other than the applicant or their representative wishing to speak at this hearing must have registered. Anyone who has not should do so immediately and submit the registration slip to myself or the secretary. The committee has looked at all of the properties and recordedly reflect their observations. Following the public hearing, the committee will conduct a meeting at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave. Any person affected by an administrative decision of tonight's meeting has 10 days from the filing of tonight's decision to file an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Waushara County Board of Adjustments. Information and applications are available from the county zoning office. The county assumes no liability, makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of the 10-day period. I will now introduce the committee. To my far left, Joe Piaski, Larry Crawford, Mike Likeness, Mark Schumacher, zoning administrator to my right, and my name is Mark Kirschner. First application we'll hear tonight, John Nigber, Pine River, Wisconsin, has made application for a conditional use in accordance with sections 54-454 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to utilize the loft of an existing 36 by 102 barn for rental storage space in an AG General Agricultural Zone. Location, an approximate 10.04 acre parcel of land known as Lot 1, Certified Survey Map 4657, being part of the southeast quarter of the southwest quarter, Section 10, Town 20 North, Range 12 East, Town of Saxville, fire number W3556S, County Road A. Is the applicant present? Would you come forward, please? Would you state your name for the record, please?
John Nigber.
Is there anything you can add or tell us, John, about what you're proposing to do?
The dimensions were wrong. It's 36 by 100. The roof is 102.
Okay.
I want to use my upper barn for storage, for boats, jet skis. I do have a boarding business, kennels below the barn, on the lower level of the barn. When I was building this, I basically actually ran beyond my 1 year time span because of all the extra construction I had to do because of the condition the barn was in when we purchased the property. So everything that was rotted or weak was restored, because basically I had to build a roof over the kennels that was solid and to finish that. But now with the upper barn, everything was done when the kennels were built. Let's see, I wrote a little. I want to store boats, possibly jet skis, possibly snowmobiles. I did some research on boats. I only want to do light boats, outboards. Those don't use any antifreeze. Inboards, they're water cooled to begin with. They don't have any antifreeze in them. When I brought this up with the town board, that was some of the concerns with our boarding facility. Jet skis, they're all water cooled. Snowmobiles, some are fan cooled, some are forced air, and some are liquid cooled. I called some of the sporting goods stores and asked questions on how much is the capacity of the coolant. They said anywhere from 2 to 4 quarts. What I plan on doing for the outboards is, like I've been storing my boat and a friend's boat. I take a 55-gallon drum, I cut it in half, I put it underneath the lower unit, because sometimes you get water in the grease. It does freeze, the lower unit will crack, it'll drip. Boats are sealed, all batteries will be taken out. We don't want to jeopardize our boarding business with any hazardous materials in the barn. Fire danger would be minimal. All the electric wiring has been redone by a professional. No outside storage. It's all just going to be within the barn. The reason I wanted light storage is because I'm the only one that's going to be in the upper barn. So when I do use my tractor to push the boats up there, then I move it around myself, and place it where I want to. The barn is basically, the upper barn is situated in 3 sections. The center, which is the ramp, and that is all planked off, and then the 2 sides, that will be a floor. The boarding facility that's below is the first 60 feet, and anything that I would store that would be heavier or contain anything like coolants or antifreeze would be on the side that has no boarding. That has been sealed off in the lower section of the barn. I mentioned that from the beginning. Traffic, no more than the average in the neighborhood, probably far less. I did talk to a few of the neighbors. I was contacted by my next door neighbor with concern, and we talked about this, and he was satisfied. His main concern was any vandals, kids coming to want to steal boat equipment, electronics, stainless steel props. I told him I have security, I have monitors, we have it for the boarding facility. They'll work just as well for the upper barn. There's only one way in that barn, up the ramp. Unless somebody can fly, there's no way to get in it. The sign I want to put up would be basically connected to our existing dog boarding advertising sign, and it's going to consist of, basically, I have 2 different signs. One's 24 by 18, the other one is 18 by 16, It's just a plastic sign with two little wire pegs. I'm gonna just poke into the dirt around our sign. I'm not gonna put up, erect any major sign. I don't need to. That's about. I did do, when I had a building dismantled on my property a couple years ago while I was building the boarding facility. They were from C.R. Meyer, one of them that's taking the building. I was a friend of mine, and I did show him my upper barn because the thoughts were back then of storage. And one of the guys there was an engineer because he was the crane operator also. He did look at it. He did give me advice on how to build it up. And I did build up the beams because I also blew in insulation to keep the lower kennel insulated for heating costs. So the barn was meant for storage. I mean, there was thousands and thousands of pounds of hay originally stored in it, and I'm not going to be storing anything nowhere near that. So I guess that's it.
Okay. Committee questions?
We have a bunch of questions for you we need to ask. Are you planning on any employees at all?
No.
Do you anticipate that most of the items will be for seasonal storage only?
Yes. I figured, what is it? Oh my God.
Probably the boats for the winter and the snowmobile stuff for the summer.
Right, I had that written down. It'd be like from October through April, and then if I do snowmobiles, which I might, they'd be on this. I took all precautions with putting tarps down, but where I'm gonna place the snowmobiles. And the snowmobiles would be more of a March, April through like November in there.
And if you were having any additional traffic out there, it'd probably be in the spring and the fall time of the year, more.
Right. I don't, I can only fit so many in the barn, but we have the traffic from the boarding. But yeah, it would be twice a year.
You know, we're planning on any RVs or fifth wheelers or camping trailers or anything like that at
No,
all?
no.
Pretty much boats, trailers?
Yeah.
So-
Yes.
Are you planning any structural changes to the barn?
No, I improved the barn. I repainted it. I want to keep it a barn. I don't want to change the scenery.
Are you aware of the state building codes and all of the state requirements, and you have
Yes.
checked it out? You also mentioned that there would not be public in the barn, that you would park and pull out all the storage units yourself? Everything will be stored inside and nothing will be stored outside at all? Are you planning any changes to the present driveway?
No.
That's all.
John, what about insurance? Do you carry liability? What happens about if there's damage to those items that you're storing?
I talked to an attorney. I have an attorney, and we drew up a proposal, and it's got to be worded a certain way, which takes my liability off. I have it on my cell phone, the wording, but it's store at your own risk. And it's also stated there's fire, wind damage, tornado. They have to supply their own storage insurance.
All right, thanks.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, John. Correspondence?
We have a letter in favor from the township. I'll read into the record. It's from Virginia Cartwright, Clerk, Town of Saxville. It says, Mr. John Nigber, Pine River, Wisconsin, has made application for a conditional use in accordance with Section 58-454 of the Waushara County Zoning Guide to utilize the loft of an existing 36 by 102 barn rental storage in the AG zone. On September 17, 2007, Mr. Nigber presented his plan, I think that's probably 2009, to the Town Board of Saxville as referenced in the enclosed copy of the meeting minutes. From that day, the board approved of Mr. Nigber's proposal, and that's Virginia Cartwright, Clerk, Town of Saxville. And we have a copy of the minutes attached. And also, we received an email from Chris Hintz, who's the Environmental Health Officer with the Waushara County Health Department. That was received on the 2nd of October. It says the concern has been raised in regard to a conditional use permit request for storage space above the commercial boarding kennel owned by Gordon Nigber. The health department performs licensing and annual inspection of commercial kennels and attempts to maintain a standard of safety for pets throughout the program. Although there is concern that hazardous chemicals may leak from the storage space above the kennel, the likelihood of that happening in a catastrophic amount that would cause the condition hazardous to the animals below. As a precaution, the department recommends that either the use be restricted in nature or that in cases of storage of vehicles or other objects containing hazardous material, that a minimum of 3 mil plastics sheeting be placed underneath the item to prevent direct dripping of fluid. The kennel operator should diligently ensure that the storage facility in the kennel is monitored regularly for signs of leakage. In addition, the operator should be aware of his or her liability with risk involved with storage above this space. As for rodents chewing through plastic, etc., the department cannot enforce a what-if condition, but take precautions to ensure that as much as possible animals are protected. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, Chris Hintz, with Waushara County Health Department. And that's all the correspondence we have.
Anyone in favor speak? Anyone in object? David,
To speak in
to
opposition,
speak in opposition? David Harris?
My name is David Harris. I'm here about the property and that you're speaking of with the barn. Property we're talking about is a resident. Ain't nothing different from that barn right now. It's no longer used as ag. Like he said, it was used for hay. I myself personally baled a lot of hay and put it in there at one time. It was made and put up originally for hay as an agricultural, not for residential use for storage or anything. There's no difference between that and the garage that I went to put up and was denied in June of this year because you no longer allow second stories. I wasn't allowed to even put boxes up for my children. No longer allowed to do that. Now we're talking making money off of storing stuff, but you can't store personal stuff in a second story. Granted, it exists already, okay? That we understand, but to be able to make money off it and other people can't even store a box above the rafters don't make sense. Also, he mentioned about the town board. That was a different set of people on that town board. That was from a couple years back. Walla Peterson was on the board, so was a couple other people. So that board, that's different people that made that decision. Concern is, again, gas, antifreeze. Even though you do try to do the best you can, some stuff's going to spill down. You are close to a trout stream right there, which is downhill, and straight down from the barn is lowland going towards that trout stream. Okay, besides the concern of the animals, I think you'll be setting a precedent. I can't pronounce that right, sorry. If you allow this, then you'll need to allow anybody that buys an old farm to take the barn and make it into whatever they want, storage and everything else. There's no difference. I've got 6 lots by Long Lake. Well, I might as well put a barn up and get storage. I could do that too. The idea was not to be utilized in the top stories of that, and I believe that Wolf River Marine and all these other places I have my boats stored have to have it on a single floor most of the time with nothing below it, and they use concrete so that if anything spills, it can be cleaned up. So there's a big concern with that, and if you allow this, then how can you deny other people the use of second story? This was made for ag. This was used. This is a resident. They're running a couple businesses there already, grooming and keeping pets and stuff underneath there and running kennels. And that's fine. Personally storing something for himself, but to go commercial like that, I didn't even think that by code you could even do that with agricultural buildings. So that's my big concern, just pointing out that it was a different board that made that decision in the town board, and that you're by a trout stream, you've got pets, and even though you're trying, you've got fumes, oil drips from anything. Anybody that owns a vehicle knows that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Next, Ruth Pennerman, speak in opposition.
Hi, I'm Ruth Penterman. I own all of the property on the west side of John Nigber. I oppose Mr. Nigber's request to rent his upper barn loft for storage. I am very concerned about the health and safety of the dogs they board and groom below this proposed storage area. Antifreeze is very lethal in very small doses to dogs. You're talking 1-2 teaspoonsful can kill a dog. Mr. Nigber wants to store boats, jet skis, snowmobiles, etc. right above where these dogs are boarded. This is an old barn with wood floors, and the possibility of leakage of hazardous materials through the floor to the dogs below is very probable. A few years ago, Diana brought us a cat to try to save that they had accidentally poisoned. This shows the carelessness of poisonous substances in the past with them people. The risk of fire is also greatly increased by the storing of machines with combustible fluids and batteries mixed with rodents chewing on wires that can start fires. If Mr. Nigber says that the batteries will be removed and all fluids drained, then my question is, who is removing these batteries? Where are they going to be stored? Who is flushing the systems to remove the fluids? How are the fluids going to be disposed of? Mr. Nigber is very near a Class 1 trout stream, and the possibility of contaminating the stream must also be addressed. If the batteries are removed and the systems flushed, how does Mr. Nigber plan on getting the machines up in his barn then for storage? What are his hours of operation? Mr. Nigber did not address any guidelines for running this business on his application, just that he wants another business. Since he is not permitted to have anything sitting outside, and since he works full-time, who will be putting these items up in the barn for storage? Will the customers be doing it? Or will Diana Gordon, his significant other, who is on full Social Security disability and already running 2 businesses on their property, be running this business also? Mr. Nigber has not addressed Section 58-236B22F, which states that sanitary facilities must be provided. If he's going to use a porta potty, where is it going to be located? A few years ago, Mr. Nigber was totally opposed to ATVs and other recreational vehicles, and I quote, "This country is in a crisis with carbon dioxide gases causing pollution and global warming. Yet now he wants to supplement his income by storing those exact items he is so opposed to." He also said, and I quote, "The fire danger is a great concern. Response time to get to this area is about 45 minutes. One gas spill, one spark is all it would take. Flicking one cigarette outside, this alone poses a fire danger." Apparently, all of these fire dangers are only for other businesses. If he is making money, then all of these dangers go away at his place. Apparently, Mr. Nigber has one set of rules and dangers for himself and his significant other, and another set of rules for the other residents of this county. Apparently, he feels he and his significant other should be able to run as many different businesses as they want, while other residences shouldn't be able to allow to run any businesses on their property. Diana Gordon, John's significant other, also opposed recreational vehicles and people having a business on their property in the country. And I quote, "There is land available called commercial and industrial. So if this is their belief, then that's where their businesses should be." The town board is backing Mr. Nigber's request. Mr. Nigber approached the town board on September 17th, 2007. That is correct, 2007. About a storage rental facility for boats and ATVs. Since then, he has not brought it back to the town board, even though it's over 2 years later and there's a partial new town board. Mr. Nigber says that Jason Tim came over privately, so apparently Jason Tim made the decision to back it without a public town board hearing. If none of these concerns mean anything, and you don't have any concerns about the dogs in the care by people that don't even know the danger their dogs may be in when they take them there, then all I ask is that you follow your zoning rules and regulations as set forth in Section 58. Section 58-232, number 4 says, any accessory buildings or structures shall not exceed 1 story in any agricultural zoning district unless the accessory building or structure is used for general farm use. Commercial storage of recreational vehicles is not general farm use. Finally, Section 58-236B22I states, home-based businesses shall not exceed 2,000 square feet of building space, including any home office or inside storage area. This is your regulation. It's very clear and easy to understand. On this property, they already have a home-based business using approximately 168 square feet in an old milk house for a dog grooming business. They also have a dog boarding kennel using 2,720 square feet of a barn, which these figures do not include the office and the house for running their business. Now they want to use 3,600 square feet of the upstairs of the barn for storage. You have already allowed them to exceed the zoning regulations by over 888 square feet with the 2 businesses you have allowed them to already run. Why should they be allowed to continue to break the zoning regulations by giving them another conditional use? So unless zoning feels Mr. Nigber deserves special privileges and is not required to abide by zoning regulations, he must be denied this conditional use. If not, you are setting precedents in this community for the residents of this county, because if Mr. Nigber does not need to abide by zoning regulations, then why should anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, opposition, Fran Pennerman, Senior.
Good evening. Fran Pennerman. A lot of things John addressed. I have firsthand knowledge of that barn. And the upper barn doors on the barn grade, several years ago when we were farming there, a light feed truck fell through. He claims he's had an engineer look at it, and he's had an engineer do this or that, and they've fixed it and they've reinforced it. The doors have rotted the timbers on the east side of the barn, and that's where that light feed truck fell through, just as his wheels backed into it. I don't know what John has done. My only concern would be animals below it. I guess I don't care who falls through it. Animals below it I don't want hurt. My wife and I are all about animals. If he did this, that's fine. That's wonderful. The second thing is the non-permeable floor. A 3 mil underneath any of these machines, you're looking at a garbage bag like you buy at Fleet Farm. You know, I can't load a garbage bag in the back of my station wagon and take it up to the road without being careful not to tear a hole in it. So that's fine if the animal health inspector or whatever said that, but that's not going to give us any protection for our animals. I run an ATV repair shop, have now for almost 2 years, and I've been pulling a wrench for 40. We have special equipment to flush these radiators. The statement about jet skis and these boats that are water cooled, absolutely not true. Half of them are cooled with antifreeze. They've got to be flushed. And when you don't, and you put them up in a barn with mice and rodents, they're going to chew holes in them. You're going to have leaks. I've fixed machines in the last 2 winters where they've chewed the mice have chewed the wiring, and they just love to eat through the rubber hose on the radiators and stuff like that. So leakage through the floor is serious. A couple ounces of antifreeze, going to get an animal really sick. And who drains this stuff? I have customers come out to my ATV shop. They, you know, are they going to drain the gas out of their engine, out of their tanks, and are they going to remove their batteries and stuff like this? Boy, I don't happen to think that they will. If there's any of them that have propane or nitrous oxide, who handles all of this hazardous waste? Where are these batteries stored? If we store them up in the barn separate from the machine, they can freeze and bust and leak. Where are we going to store them on the site, or is the owner going to store them? Then the next thing is, you know, when this equipment is dropped off, is it dropped off at night when John gets home so that he can immediately load it up in the barn? Or are they going to stand outside so we can all see them? I had to put up an 8-foot fence so nobody could see a brand new ATV from a mile away. I don't want to see a bunch of boats and four-wheelers setting out all over in his yard. You know, he covered the fact that it's not open to the public, that he's the only one that's going to load the equipment up in the barn. That's all well and good. But he should have a complete set of guidelines for zoning as to just what he's going to do with all of these different things. Who's going to handle this hazardous waste? And it is hazardous. And last but not least, between the milk house and the barn would be 6 feet north of the milk house and about 6 feet east of the barn is a 4-inch well. That 4-inch well was used for us to pump water to our cattle. When I sold that farm, somebody, I don't know who, but somebody just piled some dirt over it. So now we got a 30, 40-foot well casing that's open right there. Now, where are we going to store an ATV that might leak into that? These are the kind of issues that I'm concerned with, and until he addresses all of them, plus the zoning that restricts the use of that second story strictly for ag, I don't see how we can, I'd ask the zoning not to grant the conditional use for this storage facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone to speak for information only? Staff comments?
For the record, the committee has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the other pertinent data for this and the other applications that will be considered tonight. We have had many other similar requests over the years where traditionally you've got dairy operations that sold their cows and the farmers had storage space available in pole buildings, utility sheds, upstairs of barns. We have considered those on a case-by-case basis. Technically, if you're going to construct new commercial storage buildings like you see in town and on other places, that needs to be zoned commercial. But where you're using existing buildings that have been used for agriculture in the past, but now because of the change in agricultural operation, they want to use them for something else. Traditionally, these have been seasonal storage. They've been considered on a case-by-case basis, and some of the standards that the Planning and Zoning Committee needs to apply is by granting an approval, is it going to change the outside appearance of the property? Is it something that if the property changes hands could not revert back to agriculture? Is there going to be outside storage? That's already been addressed. The concern about the animals downstairs, we've got the email from the health department. When we knew this application was coming up, we asked the health department to comment if they had any concerns. We've also let our commercial building inspectors know about this. The applicant has met with our commercial building inspectors. If they require that there needs to be plans or specifications, if this application is approved, that would have to be a condition. Regarding the other commercial uses, Mrs. Pennerman is right. There's limitations on home-based businesses and the size that they can be, but there is not a limitation on dog kennels. Okay, dog kennels are a separate conditional use. That was approved in the past. You know, nobody disputes that. Initially, I think it was for a certain number of dogs, and then they came back and they expanded that kennel operation. But there's no existing violations out there as far as exceeding the square footage. Kennels do not fit into that home-based business category. That's a separate conditional use addressed in the ordinance. Again, these have been considered in the past. They've been considered on a case-by-case basis, depending upon where they are, you know, how the town board feels about it. Again, if it's going to change the outward character of the property, those are all criteria that need to be considered in order for the Planning and Zoning Committee to make an individual decision. When the committee visited the property, they noted again that the kennel was originally approved downstairs in 2005. They also noted the property has plenty of parking. They did go upstairs in the barn and look at the loft area. They noted that it's obviously on a county road and the property was well maintained. And I think that, again, traditionally these tend to be seasonal storage where you don't have real high volume traffic, not like the commercial storage buildings you see in town where people come every few days. Traditionally, these people pull things out in the spring and they pull them back out in the fall, so it's not a high-level traffic. But I think the other concerns that have been brought up tonight, the applicant would have a chance to address in a rebuttal if they would so wish.
Applicant want to have a rebuttal?
But basically, I read between the lines of all the rebuttals and the things that didn't pertain to this storage facility. Jason Tim, yes, he was up and he did see the property. He also was a member of the town board at the time it was proposed. Now Wally is not there. But they were all informed about it. They had no problem. Antifreeze is brought up many, many times on this. We have a dog boarding facility below. We love animals. We don't want it. The boarding facility comes first. If I thought there was going to be any harm to any of the animals, I wouldn't be doing this. We've taken the precaution. 3 mil plastic is ridiculously thin. I have 11 mil sandwiched in all the multiple layers of plywood up above. And I don't even want to trust that. I am putting containers on, but I'm not focusing on vehicles with antifreeze. I would extend you gentlemen to call Sportomotive or any of the other snowmobile and jet ski dealers. You can ask them yourselves if jet skis are water cooled or liquid cooled. I'm more than happy because that is what the information I was given. I don't own them, so I went by what the professionals told me. The floor has been fixed. You gentlemen were up there, seen it. It's been also reinforced on top of that. Batteries, I myself bring my battery in my house. I keep it warm, my boat battery. Freezing, they will crack. Sometimes they lose their power. They last longer if you keep them in. I actually put them on a board and put them in my basement. All the other guys I know that fish, they do the same thing. They got to be kept warm. I don't want their batteries. I know they can't drain their gas tanks out completely, but the boats I want to store, it is a gas tank you can physically pick up and remove. Jet skis like that, snowmobiles. it's a vessel that is attached. No, I can't say you gotta take every drop out unless they wanna get a garden hose and start sucking on it, but, minimal gas in it. They're gonna call me, they say, we seen your sign, you have, barn storage. Okay, yeah, this is the price, this is my requirements. When do you wanna meet? It's not gonna be, they're gonna just be showing up, we wanna store our boat or what have you. It's okay, this is when I'll be home, you can meet me then. Diana has nothing to do with this, this is just my business, and yes, I will be using my tractor to back it up and then hand pushing it in. I don't wanna damage anybody's property. The whereabouts of a well, I myself was told by Fran that the DNR cemented it in back in around, if I remember right, 72. I have no idea. It's just ground there that I know of. I guess that's all I can say.
John,
Yes.
can you just clarify then that's not a typo? The letter we received, which is dated October 12th, 2009, said that Mr. Nigber presented his plans to the Town Board of Saxville on September 17th, 2007. Is that correct?
It possibly could
Okay.
be. I
Okay.
don't know exactly, but
I initially thought it was a typo, and you know, it came out that it possibly is, and I just want to clarify. So you did meet before the board sometime in 2007, as best you can remember.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next application to hear, Raymond Troyer, Coloma, Wisconsin, has made application for conditional use in accordance with Section 58-454 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to establish a wood salvage business utilizing a 48-square-foot portion of an existing 32 by 54 barn for equipment storage and an approximately 100 by 150-foot area for outside materials storage in an AG General Agricultural Zone. Location, an approximately 27.59 acre parcel of land known as Lot 1 of Certified Survey Map number 5556, being part of the west half of the northeast quarter and part of the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter, Section 16, Town 18 North, Range 9 East, Town of Richford, fire number N1592, County Road B. Is the applicant present? Would you please come forward? Would you state your name for the record, please?
Ray Troyer.
Thank you. Is there anything that you can add, Ray, or tell the committee?
What the salvage business is, in the wintertime, we dismantle old barn buildings, farm buildings that are no longer in use. Homeowners don't want them. They're on the tax roll, want to get rid of them. Sometimes we take them down in exchange for getting rid of them for them. The only materials, like I discussed earlier with Mark here, the only materials that we salvage are wood materials. Any metal materials are left on the property at the side of the barn. And the materials we bring home are resaleable materials. Most of these, like beams, boards, and so forth, are then remanufactured into trim, flooring, and so forth for homes. That market has taken quite a hit this year, but and most of the activity is in the wintertime when construction is slower as a rule. So we do this as a fill-in. And what I want to do here is just have a place to store my beams until I can sell the product again. And I sell mostly to wholesalers. I don't have customers, walk-in customers come up. I have my contacts, buyers, and most of the products I haul out to the buyers. Occasionally they will come and pick them up, but not very often, maybe once or twice a year that'll happen. And I guess that's about it. The 48 square foot area I'm using in my existing shed for storage is that equipment consists of chains that we use for pulling the beams out, bars to pull the boards off, dismantle the beams, and of course a chainsaw, but that chainsaw I use for cutting firewood construction, so it's not like I have a lot of equipment there. And then as far as trailers and that we use for hauling the beams, I hire that normally done. I do have a flatbed there that I bought for that purpose, but the market has been so slow I can't justify owning the trailers. I'm selling that, and when we do a project, I'll hire that done. And I had wanted to extend my driveway out to the north. It would be to the north, about 200 feet north when I was in applying for this, but the ladies in the zoning office told me I need 300 feet between driveways, so that won't happen now. But I do plan to add more gravel in the yard there.
Okay.
Might not happen this fall. I talked to the snowplow guy and asked him if he would prefer me to do that this fall or wait till spring. He would rather not have it done this fall, being there's not enough time for the gravel to pack before plowing season.
Okay.
So I believe we'll leave that.
All right. Committee questions?
Will there be any outside employees beside the immediate family?
No. I do have a few people that help me take down the barns, and when we come home, they'll help me unload it, but they don't show up and work there, no.
Do people buy the materials on this property, or do you deliver them?
I deliver. Like I said, occasionally, and maybe this year maybe once or twice this year I've sold like a pickup load off the property.
Exactly what type of materials will you be storing?
Well, there's beams, 8x8 beams, 6x8s. There's some 3x8s. There's boards. The siding boards are more valuable, and beams and boards for the most part. And
No metal or scrap iron or insulation, side pieces or buildings?
we don't store any metal there. Usually if there's a metal roof on the barn, we take that off and haul it to the scrapyard directly from the site. I won't bring that home, because by the time I bring it home, unload it, reload it, take it to the scrapyard, I just lost money.
Is there any advertising signs planned?
I don't plan on doing that.
Are there any other buildings planned other than the lean-to on your building?
Not at this time.
So all materials outside of the building will be stored in a 100 and 150 foot?
Roughly, that's what I'm requesting. The area I'm currently using isn't that large. I didn't measure it exactly, but it's probably 60 by 100 now.
Your site plan shows that you will plant trees to screen the area from the road. What kind of trees and how big do you plan on planting?
Well, I'm planning on hybrid poplars because they grow faster, they have bigger leaves, and I'll have a screen within a year, 2 years for sure.
How far apart is your driveways right now?
Well, I have only that one driveway. I wanted to gravel we have been kind of using that secondary driveway, but it's not graveled, and I planned on graveling that until they informed me that I need 300 feet in between.
Do you know all your lot lines?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Any other questions from the committee? Mark?
You said that you were going to refurbish some of the beams or lumber. I think you said, what does that involve? I guess my question would be, are you looking at other equipment like planer, sawmill?
Not at this time. I don't refurbish anything on the property. That I sell to people who do that.
Oh, I see. Okay, I misunderstood. Okay. And then you did say that the vast majority of your sales are wholesale, that you're not limiting yourself. You said you had a couple people come in, but most of it is wholesale, so
Right.
you don't.
Right.
And that's why you don't need an advertising
Right.
time.
Right.
Okay.
The reason for that is most homeowners want only one or two pieces, and I prefer to sell in job lots, and makes it much easier that way.
And you're not going to be hauling in like parts of buildings or anything like that and then dismantling them on the site. You're going to be dismantling them off the premises and just hauling the pieces.
Right. When we bring in the boards and the beams, all the nails are pulled out of them. They're all trimmed up, and they are in stacks, like a new lumber stack.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, correspondence?
We have no correspondence on the application.
Anyone in favor?
Yeah, we have several people registered in favor.
Timothy Green, Coloma. In favor, speak in favor. Please come forward.
Say something?
Yes, I'm in favor of Ray and his, you don't even know he's there. And for looks, it's not big enough to amount to anything. And for anything else in there, you know, for pollution, anything, I couldn't see a beam being polluting anything. It's like people hauling wood. So I don't know what the problem would be for him.
Whereabouts do you live?
I live about 100 yards be south of him.
Okay, okay, along in that whole subdivision there, kind of
Right.
like, yeah, okay,
So I think it's pretty neat business.
okay. All right, thank you. Speak in favor, Beth Green.
I'm Beth Green. I'm Tim Green's wife. We don't have a problem with Ray having a business there. It's not high traffic at all. We hardly even hear if he does saw wood. It would be no more than us sawing or the other neighbors sawing wood, or and I would just assume that's for his house. It's never noise pollution. We don't have traffic coming in and out. We don't have a problem at all, and we live 100 yards.
Okay, thank you. Speak in favor, Lori Putsky.
Lori Putsky. My husband Jeff couldn't be here tonight, so I'm kind of speaking for him too. We're Ray's closest neighbors. We live directly across the road, and we don't have a problem with it at all. We couldn't ask for a better neighbor than them, and we hope that you do approve his application.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Lori. Staff comments?
As far as the state building codes goes, it's a little bit of a gray area, and I'm not going to pretend I'm a commercial building inspector, but basically, if Mr. Troyer doesn't have any employees or any customers or the public in his building, then my understanding is the building doesn't have to conform to state building code. That's fine. If he'd have an office and have employees or customers come inside, let's say, to pick through the lumber, then that building would have to conform to state building code. So I think in this situation, I'm pretty confident that the state building codes really don't apply. A home occupation is permitted in the agricultural zone, but it is with certain limitations. And those limitations are a maximum number of square footage within a structure, and then a maximum amount of square footage outside the structure. And if it exceeds that, then we need to go through a conditional use. And so there's some other conditions too, that the things for sale have to be produced on the property. That doesn't apply here, and for that reason and a couple others, we need to go through a conditional use. We haven't had anything exactly the same, but we have had similar businesses, and obviously the things we need to look at is how is it going to affect the neighboring properties. I think most of the neighbors have already testified they don't have a concern with it. We look at things like pollution. Obviously, pretty hard to imagine barn beams are going to hurt anybody unless it lands on your head. But, you know, other than that, I don't think there's really certainly any environmental concerns. I think the biggest issue here, like with a lot of businesses, is not so much the use, but it's who's running the business, because it's the management of the property and how it appears that has the impact on the neighbors. And so it's just hugely important that properties like this be run as a good, clean ship. And if they are, it probably won't detract from the neighborhood. And obviously, I think Mr. Troyer has shown that capability based upon the testimony of the neighbors. We have had other properties where the management hasn't been at that level, and of course then we have some problems, and then the neighbors would be showing up for something other than praising their neighbors. So, but I think in this case, with certain conditions, I think it certainly could be conducted and has been conducted in such a fashion as to not detract from the neighboring properties. So that's all I had.
Anything you want to add, Ray? Okay, thank you. Okay, next application that we'll be hearing tonight, tabled from the September 17th, 2009 public hearing. Scott and Jean Trakel, Cascade, Wisconsin, have made application for a conditional use in accordance with sections 58-236, paragraph 18, and 58-454, paragraph 31 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to store a 1994 30-foot Avalon travel trailer in an AG General Agricultural Zone. Location, an approximately 53.23 acre parcel of land known as Lot 2 of Certified Survey Map number 4580, being part of the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter and part of the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter, Section 1, Town 18 North, Range 8 East, Town of Coloma, Chicago Road. Is the applicant present?
I think they have a representative
Yes.
here.
Representative for Scott Trakel, Robert Pankow? Yes. Would you come forward, please?
I'm Robert Pankow. I'm representing Scott Trakel.
Can you add anything to the committee or tell the committee anything, Bob?
Basically, it's just that we're looking at putting a camper on there, and for down the road, we're looking at purchasing. I am looking at purchasing the land and building a house there. So, I mean, I guess I'm coming before you again, you know, to get all them recommendations done and everything. But right now, it's just trying to buy the property, get some money together, and you know, be able to build a house there.
Okay. Committee questions?
Yes. Is the trailer licensed and roadworthy?
Yes, it is.
Will the new trailer location be at least 100 feet from all the lot lines?
Yes, it is. There was some pictures given to you guys, I was told, from Scott and everything. There was a packet sent in which I would think that shows everything from the lot lines. And basically, it shows 140 feet from center line back and 100 feet off the DNR property, which is on the east side of the property. So we do have everything marked back. There was, you can see in the pictures there that was in the packet where the trailer would be placed. There's some orange flags. That should be about it.
There was a survey done in 2001, is that correct?
Yes, and Scott also had that done, that check.
So you're sure of the lot lines?
Yes.
There's about 53 acres of land involved?
Yes, there is.
Correct, okay. The site plan says that you'll not have any running water and you'll use a portable chemical toilet, is that correct?
Yes.
Are there any other buildings planned for
No,
this?
not at this time.
Any changes to the driveway?
No, not at this time.
Are you aware that there are no additions allowed to the trailer itself?
Correct.
Currently, there's not a uniform property address number now at the east driveway location, correct?
Yes.
And if approval is granted, then, when would the trailer be moved, do you think?
Whenever you guys would allow me to do it.
That's all I
Okay, I got one question. The trailer right now is stored kind of down by the home, and that is going to be moved down to the east part of the property, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And there is also like a breeze porch on that, and I know that we cannot have that attached also. That was one thing that was brought up to us. We did not know that at the time. So that will not be attached because of reasoning that you have to be able to move the trailer in case of a fire or something like that immediately.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Correspondence?
Yes, we have one letter from a nearby property owner, Michael, I think it was Wiskowski. The letter is dated September 8th, 2009. And the letter is addressed to the Planning and Zoning Committee of Waushara County. We own the property at W12301 Chicago Avenue, Coloma, Wisconsin, which is directly across from where the proposed trailer is currently placed. The trailer is directly outside of our front door and bedroom window. For approximately 3 to 4 weekends, we had to listen to a generator run. One weekend, it was 24/7 until we finally said something. They have not used it since, instead have applied for a conditional use in hopes that it would be made legal to drive your neighbors crazy. While we do not care what the Trakels or anyone else does on their property, we had to follow the guidelines and did not interfere with the peace and quiet of our neighbors. It's our understanding that someone is planning to build on a 53.23 acre parcel in question. Therefore, the trailer should be placed closer to the building site and not in our front door. The trailer is to be used as a residence while building not a hunting shack. With 53 acres, we are sure there is a spot that won't affect us or any other neighbors. Maybe the trailer should be placed, the trailer closer to the residence that's currently on the property as the zoning suggested. If they are only storing it, we strongly object to the placement of the trailer as it sits now. It is not placed in accordance with your zoning ordinance for storage of a trailer. We are unable to attend the hearing due to our work schedule, except this is a formal objection. We also send an email to Amy in the zoning office. Thank you, Cynthia and Michael Wiskowski. And that's correspondence we have in opposition. We also have a letter from the town of Coloma. It says that it was received today, dated October 13th. It says the town of Coloma board has no objection to Scott and Jean Trakel's conditional use to store a 1994 30-foot Avalon travel trailer in the AG zone. The board requests that the travel trailer is placed so it is not visible from the road. Location 53.23 acre parcel of land known as Lot 2, certified survey map 4580, being part of the southwest quarter, the northeast quarter, part of the northwest quarter, the southeast quarter, section 1, town of Coloma, Chicago Road, and that's signed Mark Kirshner, chairman, town of Coloma. And that's all the correspondence we have on the application.
Anyone registered in favor or opposition to speak? Staff comments?
When the committee visited the property, they did visit it last month, and they viewed the trailer in its current location, which is directly across from the neighbor who wrote the letter in opposition. And then we went to the east end of the property, and we viewed the flagged location, as the representative said, where the proposed location would be, and we felt that with the new location that should address the concerns of the neighbor across the street. The committee also noted that visibility is good at the proposed driveway location, and that a fire number or uniform property address number would be needed at the new location. And that's it.
Is there anything the applicant would like to add or comment on?
Other than what we're looking at doing is getting electricity out there so they do not have a generator anymore, because I do not want to have the neighbors upset. You know, that was one of the comments that we did want to bring up, that, you know, if this would pass, we would be looking at trying to get electricity, so I'd have to get the permits for that.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, the next application we're going to hear tonight is a zone change. Village of Coloma has made application for a zone change in accordance with sections 58-131 through 138 and 58-421 through 58-430 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to establish a groundwater protection overlay district, GWPOD, to protect the water supply area in the 5-year time travel wellhead protection area of the Village of Coloma Municipal Well Number 2 that extends no more than 500 feet from the north and west of the Village of Coloma Industrial Park. Location: a detailed map of the exact location of the proposed district is available for public review in the Waushara County Land Conservation and Zoning Office located in the Waushara County Courthouse during regular business hours. An approximate legal description of this area is as follows: part of the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter, part of the northeast quarter of the southwest quarter, and part of the southeast quarter of the southwest quarter, all in Section 11, Town 18 North, Range 8 East, Town of Coloma. Is a representative here for the Village of Coloma? If so, please come forward. State your name for the record, please.
Steve Dirks, President, Village of Coloma. Thank you, committee.
Can you tell us anything about what this is all about, Steve? Or
the Village of Coloma put the new well in 8 years ago and adopted the groundwater protection plan that the DNR required. And to be honest with you, we forgot to change the zoning in the county and the township, so we're trying to correct that problem. We just went through these things, which I'm sure you guys are used to seeing. We found that we admitted it, so we're trying to correct the problem now.
Okay. Staff questions?
Yeah, we got a few questions for you. Basically, this is a request to protect the groundwater recharge area for the village's municipal well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have similar protection in place within the village limits now?
Yes.
How big is the well?
Oh, capacity?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, whatever. Either one, you know?
You know the diameter?
Oh, the diameter of the well? I think it's a 12-inch well, and I think the pumping capacity is right around 400 to 500 gallons per minute on the new well.
Who determines the recharge area?
DNR.
Are you planning on any additional wells in the
I hope not.
future? Unless you need to, right?
Unless we do too. We probably have one more than we need, but that's okay.
Better to have enough.
Yes, that's for sure.
Any other committee questions? If not, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for being late.
That's
in time.
You're right in time. Anyone to speak in favor or opposition?
No one registered in favor or in opposition.
Staff, or anyone, yeah, information on staff comments?
Before we get to staff comments, we have one letter we received tonight dated October 13th. It says the Town of Coloma Board has no objection to the Village of Coloma's application for a zone change in accordance with Section 58-131 through 138 and 58-421 through 430 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to establish a groundwater protection overlay district, protect the groundwater supply in the 5-year time of travel wellhead protection area for the Village of Coloma Municipal Well Number 2 that extends no more than 500 feet to the north and west of the Village of Coloma Industrial Park. And then they quote the legal description that was read tonight, and that's signed by Mark Kirschner, Chairman. And that's all the correspondence.
Staff comments?
We established the groundwater protection overlay district back when the city of Wautoma expanded their municipal well. And we did it with, in concert with the DNR, because we recognized that the recharge area of these municipal wells extend beyond the corporate limits of the cities and villages. And in this situation, the recharge area is just literally a few hundred feet outside the industrial park. The land that it affects is vacant land. As I explained to the committee and for the public, it doesn't affect any existing use of the property. It even allows for some minor residential development, it does, what it does do is it eliminates the potential uses that would compromise the groundwater quality. Obviously, things like petroleum storage and uses that would compromise the groundwater, pose environmental problems. If there would be a major subdivision someday, one of the conditions would be that it would have to be sewered. And so really all this does is protect the investment of the Village of Coloma. And I guess I'd like to compliment not only the Village of Coloma, but the Town of Coloma, working together across municipal lines in a spirit of cooperation, which is something that unfortunately is awfully unusual these days. Because when the city of Wautoma did it, the result was a little bit different, and it didn't pass. But we do treat this as any other zone change, and in the case of a zone change, this application, if it's approved tonight, has to go before the full county board, and then if it passes, it also has to go before the town board of Coloma, and then if it passes, we would change our maps accordingly. So that's really all I have to add.
Anything you'd like to add, Steve? Up here, please.
The village did send a letter out to all three landowners, and I think the town did also, telling them about the change in the things, and so that they were well informed of what was going to happen.
Okay.
But other than that, I have no other comments.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, that concludes our applications for tonight. We'll now move into our business meeting. Roll call showing everybody's here except Bob.